welcome to Keep Calm and Money On, your personal financial coaching channel. Today's episode is going to focus on paying down debt, but more specifically, the two most popular schools of thought when it comes to doing so, and which of the two I prefer. Before we get into it, make sure to click the subscribe button below the video so you don't miss any new episodes. New episodes will be posted every Monday. First off, before we dive into the two popular ways of paying down debt that I want to discuss, the reason I'm introducing this topic in the first place is because achieving our financial goals requires planning. By now, you know how much I love talking about planning, but it's because it's so critical in every stage of your financial journey. Paying down debt, and in particular, necessitates a plan, because without one, you'll find yourself just throwing money at various debt, thinking you're paying it down aggressively, but not focusing on one at a time, and thus barely making a dent in any. I like to use the jack of all trades, master of none expression when I discuss this very topic. So don't be Jack when it comes to paying down debt. Okay, so what are these two schools of thought? They are the snowball method and the avalanche method. The snowball method has been popularized by Dave Ramsey, who is an amazing resource when you need motivation to get out of debt and do it quickly. But what the snowball method entails is this: organize your debts from the lowest balance to the highest. Ignore the interest rates. Focus solely on the balance of the debt. Then concentrate on paying off the lowest balance first while paying the minimum required amount on the rest of the debt. What does this look like? Let's pretend you have 3 credit cards. One has a balance of $10,000, the second has a balance of $1,500, and the third has a balance of $25,000. The snowball method would have you organize the credit cards starting with the lowest balance first and ending with the highest balance. So for our example, that would be the card with $1,500, then the card with $10,000, and then finally the card with $25,000. You would then pay the minimum required amount on every card, but also throw any leftover money that you were able to save that month at the $1,500 card. So if you were able to save $200 this month and all your credit cards have a minimum required payment of $25 per month, I'm picking $25 randomly. I mean, different types of debt will have different minimum amounts. So pay whatever the minimum amount is, but let's use $25 for this example. You would pay the minimum $25 to each card and then put the $200 that you saved this month towards the $1,500 card. You do this until you pay the $1,500, the lowest balance credit card, off completely. Once you finish paying off that credit card completely, you move on to the next credit card, which in our example is the one with the $10,000 balance. And that amount of money that you can throw at this credit card now has increased because you cleared up cash flow by getting rid of that $1,500 credit card balance. So each time you knock out a credit card, the amount of money going towards the next debt on your list increases like a snowball until it's all knocked out. Does this make sense so far? If my explanation makes sense, comment below money goals in the comments so I know they're able to follow along. The avalanche method is different from the snowball method because instead of taking into account the balance of the debt, it takes into consideration the interest rate. So with the avalanche method then, you would organize your debt by starting with the highest interest rate debt first and then ending with the smallest interest rate debt. Just like with the snowball method, you pay the minimum required amount on every debt, but throw all excess savings at that highest interest rate debt so that once it's knocked out, you move on to the next highest interest rate debt and proceed to pay the minimum on that, plus the minimum you were paying on the debt you just knocked out, plus whatever additional savings you were able to save that month. So as you knock out a particular debt, you move on to the one with the next highest interest rate until you pay off all of your debt. So you may be wondering which of these two methods I would recommend. And I would have to say definitely the snowball method. And here's why. It's because of the behavioral and psychological factors that play an important role in whether or not you'll actually become debt-free. What do I mean by this? You're more likely to stick to your plan if you have small wins here and there, which would happen if you're knocking out small balances and leaving the large balance to the very end. On the other hand, You may be more likely to give up if you feel like you're throwing all your extra money at a high interest rate debt that also happens to be the highest balance, just because usually due to the fact that the interest rate grows so quickly. And you feel like you're spinning your wheels because the loan balance doesn't seem to be decreasing. So even though mathematically the Avalanche method is hands down the winner, but psychologically you just don't see results relatively quickly, you might end up feeling defeated and ultimately give up. Look, math is awesome, but in practicality, it's not always best to do what on paper is the most optimized route. You need to do what you know would work best for your personality. For me, I had to use the snowball method when paying off my private student loans. I remember having one particular loan that was somewhere around $50,000 and a very high interest rate compared with the others. Had I attacked that loan first and ignored the little ones under $5,000, I honestly don't know if I would have been successful in paying everything off. I don't think I would have had the stamina to keep going if I were working as hard as I could, but the balance was barely moving down. You don't want to find yourself in that position. But look, everyone is different, and what works or doesn't work for me may work great for you. Just dig deep and really ask yourself truthfully which method would work best for you. Are you someone who will stick with a plan no matter how hard? Might you lose steam or intensity if you feel like you're not getting anywhere because no matter how much money you're throwing at the loans or debt, the balance is barely decreasing? Don't dwell on how much money you might save by knocking out the highest interest rate debt first, and then finding yourself wanting to give up at the end of the day. You sticking with the plan of paying off all your debt aggressively is so much more important than the money you might save over the aggregate by paying off the highest interest rate debt first. Here's the best part. Just because you pick one method doesn't mean you can't switch to the other one if you find it's not working for you. I don't care which method you choose. Just pick one and start plowing away at that debt. So which method do you think you'll choose? Comment Avalanche or Snowball below to let me know. I really want to know, guys. I'm genuinely interested. And don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to let me know what you think about the content. And if you find this episode useful, share it with someone who might find it helpful as well. Next week, we're going to cover the #1 secret to maximizing savings. So make sure you click the subscribe button so that you'll be notified as soon as the new episode is published. You won't want to miss this one, I'm telling you. I'll see you then. And don't forget, keep calm and money on.